Let's build a FanDuel lineup because we didn't get to that last week, and we told people we were going to. So let's do a FanDuel lineup here. All right. So over on FanDuel, one thing that I personally do differently on FanDuel than DraftKings, while I'm obviously still stacking on FanDuel, I'm not doing quite as aggressively because there's the half point PPR bonus as opposed to the full point. So I do think that makes triple stacks not as viable on FanDuel as they are on DraftKings, other than like certain specific scenarios. But let's talk about what we want to do with our stacks over on FanDuel to begin with. And I know that we built the lineup on DraftKings that had some Rams players but didn't have Matthew Stafford. Let's plug in Stafford at QB, and then we could build a lineup that is more of a Rams heavy stack, because I do think this is probably the best overall value spot on the slate.
Okay. How's Stafford on DraftKings or FanDuel from a pricing perspective?
Yes. So over on FanDuel, I will read off all the prices for the top guys here. We have Stafford is priced at. All right, so Stafford is $7,500 over on DraftKings, which is like right in the middle in terms of
Yeah.
pricing. He's not the most expensive quarterback for the week. It's Lamar Jackson, $8,800, and you got Daniel Jones at the low end at 69. So like right in the middle, maybe a little bit more on the cheap side is Matthew Stafford there. Cooper Kupp also reasonably priced at $7,700 over on FanDuel. You've also got Demarcus Robinson, who's priced at a very cheap price point at $5,200.
I want to go Colby Parkinson at 4,800.
Yeah, Parkinson, $4,800. And then Kyron Williams is priced a little bit more expensive. He's $8,000 over on FanDuel. The pass catchers are very, very affordable, though.
Let's go Stafford, Kupp, Parkinson.
Gonna go all three? Stafford, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. I thought you were saying three pass catchers. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'm not going to throw Kyron in there. I mean, I guess you could go full out onslaught. He will get some passing work, but I don't know if I love him in this with Stafford.
Yeah, especially with the only half point PPR bonus over on FanDuel. I would rather go the double stack than the triple stack. And if I'm overall evaluating the players that I like the most from the Rams as far as skill position players go, I do like Parkinson and Kupp relative to their price tags more than Kyron Williams, especially because Kyron Williams is more expensive than Cooper Kupp.
What do you make of James Conner in the RB spot?
Yeah, James Conner as a run back option, I think that he makes sense. Marvin Harrison is still a little bit too expensive for me to want to be getting to over on FanDuel. Trey McBride is also very affordable. Trey McBride is only $6,200 on FanDuel. But as far as run backs go, I do prefer to get to James Conner in this lineup.
I think James Conner is probably a little bit too cheap here. When you look at the gap between him and guys like Mixon, Kyron Hall, all of those guys, even Jahmyr Gibbs, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, 6,500 to me seems like a really good value proposition for someone, James Conner, against the Rams defense that got gashed on the ground. And also, Greg, he's involved in the passing game as well.
There are not very many workhorse backs in the league right now. Like, actually, very few. James Conner appears, at least for the start of the season, to be one of them. Maybe Trey Benson gets more work later on in the year. For now, though, James Conner, especially at $6,500, he's underpriced. So is Jordan Mason. Those are your two best points per dollar running backs on FanDuel.
Mason at 5,500, we just have to plug in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we have Stafford, Conner, Mason, Kupp, Parkinson, 7K remaining per player. This sets us up pretty nicely. Let's plug a defense in. We can always change it later, but let's just plug a defense in and see if there's anything decent. I mean, to me, Broncos at 3,400 is just the obvious play.
Yeah, so defenses, we don't have to be too price sensitive here. I mean, we could also go to the Chargers against the Carolina Panthers if price really isn't an issue for us. You've got the Chargers, they are $4,400, but Bryce Young, I thought there was a chance he would look better. And then,
Oh,
I mean, his first pass of the entire year is an interception. It's just like, oh my God. My first thought when that game shows up on Red Zone, they show Bryce Young throwing an interception on his first pick is he's going to be considered one of the biggest busts ever before too long.
I think you're right, man. He looked horrible, deer in headlights. You could go Titans as well against the Jets, but I'm going to plug the Broncos in here.
Okay.
I'm going to plug. I mean, look, it's in altitude, week 2 of the season. Mike Tomlin as a dog has performed really well. He's a favorite here with Justin Fields expected to start. Patrick Surtain likely camping out next to George Pickens, which leaves them with guys like Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson and such. Jalen Warren still isn't fully back. Najee Harris might get a big workload, but he's been wildly inefficient. You could really just see this offense not doing much at all.
And we've got, I think the Broncos definitely a good defense to be rostering. If you had unlimited salary, I'd say, just pay all the way up for the Chargers. But for now, I'm good with the Broncos. I agree with you as well. And that gives us 3 spots left, and the salary remaining for those spots, it's what, $8,200 left here. So we get 3 studs in.
Oh, I like this. Wow, we have CeeDee Lamb projected really well this week.
He's pretty clearly, to me, especially because Tyreek Hill isn't on the slate. Here are your pay up options at wide receiver on FanDuel. There's a really big gap. It's CeeDee Lamb at $9,100. Amon-Ra St. Brown at $9,000. Jamar Chase at $8,700. I tend to think he's going to be full go for this week, but who knows? The Bengals situation is definitely a little bit weird. And then it goes all the way down to Garrett Wilson at $8,100. Considering the amount of salary we have left, I think we are going to want to pay up for either CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I definitely feel better about Lamb than I do about St. Brown.
Let's do it. How opposed are you to going 3 running backs on a team like this?
Not at all. Who do you have? Do you have Breece Hall in mind? Or
I feel like Breece Hall is going to touch the ball 25 times.
I'm concerned about the Jets offense after week 1. Not like where I'm writing them off or anything like that, because, Aaron Rodgers basically didn't play last year, tore his Achilles. You'd expect him to be, not totally looking, 100% necessarily week 1 and there to be some rust involved. But he looked just slow to me physically. The arm is still there, clearly, but there was points in times where he had to move around and it just looked awkward. And also, it's not just the fact that he didn't look great this year. It kind of got written off. He was terrible last year on the Packers as well.
He was. Yeah, he was. I'm not as worried as you are, though. I think they'll figure it out. But also, I think Breece Hall's just going to get so much work that it might not matter. But let's do this then. How about we don't have to do that? Let's plug one more wide receiver in and see what we're left with at the flex. I mean, we could go St. Brown here. You could go Mike Evans. You could go. There's a lot of guys that are very reasonably priced on FanDuel. It's pretty soft. FanDuel's pretty soft.
I'll tell you the one that I like that kind of fits in with the price we have left here. Rashee Rice looked terrific in week 1. And he's only $6,900 on FanDuel. If you look at some of the other wideouts that are priced around him, we're also ones I don't mind. Like, I like Deebo Samuel this week, assuming Christian McCaffrey's out. Brandon Ayuk, he's going to be a little bit of a tough sell for me as of right now, just because he looked so rusty last week. I definitely thought that him not having a training camp in the holdout, it looked like it impacted him in week 1. But Deebo Samuel, I don't know that I really want to be playing him in the same lineup as Jordan Mason when it's not any kind of game stack, just because I really do think they're negatively correlated with each other. Then you got Chris Olave, Michael Pittman. They're at 6,700, 6,400. I do like a lot of these options, but Rashee Rice at $6,900. He's somebody who I am going to really want to prioritize on FanDuel.
Okay. Also, I'll throw it out there. Malik Neighbors is 6,400. If you play Malik Neighbors, that gives you just enough for Amon-Ra St. Brown, which gives you a Stafford, Connor, Mason, QB running back build, Kupp, Lamb, St. Brown, Neighbors, at wide receiver and Parkinson and Broncos defense. I mean, that is a wicked lineup right there.
Well, with this lineup, we're going to be able to plug, it looks like, yeah, Brees Hall into the flex spot.
All right, let's try both. Let's try so Brees Hall and Rashi Rice.
Yep.
And then let's try Malik Neighbors and St. Brown.
Yeah. I like both. I like both versions of that lineup.
Me too. Me too. A lot. Yeah, let's see how both of them look, because if you told me either of these were your lineup, I'd say, yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, the fact that you can get Kupp, Lamb, and St. Brown into a lineup with Connor and Mason is pretty crazy. 142, Greg, on that one, on that one.
Yeah, and I will bet the other version is also going to send out really well.
Yeah, maybe not this high, but let's try it. Jordan, I'm on Ross St. Brown and Malik Neighbors.
But yeah, I mean, the pricing is so soft on FanDuel this week when you consider that you're getting Cooper Kupp is $7,700. You've got it running back. You've got guys like Jordan Mason, $5,200. You've also got James Conner. We talk about liking him a lot at 6,500. Yeah, another really highly sim lineup, 103.6.
Yeah, man. All right.